Welcome back to Cool Times Podcast. We talk all things cool about the cold storage construction industry. To my right, business and life partner, the beautiful Miss Jenna Free. I am also your other host, Vince Free. And joining us in studio today, the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Currie from ThermCon. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming in studio with us. It's always fun.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
I love it.
In studio live, man, you have quite the history of the cold storage industry, my friend.
A little bit.
Just
been a while.
Just dabbled a little.
Just dabbled in it. Just dabbled in cold storage construction.
Let's do some math. So I started in '93. First cold storage project. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Ooh,
in '93, how old were you in '93?
10
years old. So you were watching Hanna-Barbera or probably Mickey Mouse Clubhouse or something like that.
Hanna-Barbera. So
like,
that's a long time, man.
It's a little bit. The gray hair and the lack of hair and the...
So, okay, 93 was your first cold storage project.
Correct.
Wow.
Let's go before 93. Like, how did you even get into cold storage? Did you know you were getting into cold storage?
No, I didn't. And in fact, so I unfortunately had parents that wouldn't pay for school. I was also not all that motivated in high school.
Right.
So my dad, who's been in the grocery industry his entire life, though he did have a stint with Best Buy, but he's always been in supply chain and logistics. So as a kid, I courtesy clerked at the grocery stores. Sure. I worked in different departments. My grandparents, my grandfather also was a VP at Lucky Stores when they were purchased by American Stores. And so always had that exposure, right? Yeah. And so his retirement plan on my grandfather, they bought a grocery store. And so that was his retirement plan. Well, he passed away. And so we had to go up and help run it.
Yep.
But I did everything, but I was under the legal age to technically work. So it's always been grocery. And then it was a courtesy clerk at Lucky's. And then it was kind of working up from there. I worked for a couple different, in high school, worked for a couple different beverage companies. So 7-Up and PepsiCo. And they were short stints. So there wasn't a lot of time, but got a little exposure to that. So my dad was running the distribution center for Lucky's and American Stores in San Leandro.
Okay.
And the facility group, who was a big design build organization early on.
Yes.
There's a fraction of them that exist now, but basically everyone in the cold storage industry came from facility group.
Oh yeah,
or 100% paths with it. Right?
Oh yeah.
Well, I've got some O'Connell stories and some other Navarro stories.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the spawn off of that, people that left and started companies, and the people that left those companies start companies. You could, it's like you could
map it all back.
Could map it all back, like family tree that thing back.
Yeah. And so I got a job, or I was introduced to some people at Facility Group, but then also started with, I got a job with Baker Concrete. I think that was the first. So this was a big 3-phase project: freezer, perishable, dry, wet produce, some processing, all NH3 system, so all ammonia, big facility, big demo project right along 880 in Oakland there. And so I worked for Baker Concrete. I think you know who Baker is. They're probably one of the nation's biggest flat work contractors. And started in line and grade, and then tied rebar and finished concrete. So did a little bit of everything over an 8-month, 10-month stint. Then I moved to Delta T. And so I started under TJ Bryant. You remember TJ, I'm sure. And so started as a carpenter, and worked my way up to run a crew on that same project. And so hanging panels, right? Learning all the details. And so slowly I was starting to take to it, right?
Sure.
Then I worked for Ace Fire Sprinkler, a sprinkler company, on that same job, throwing in-rack sprinklers and stacking risers and doing programming and stuff like that. And then John Navarro came up to me kind of out of nowhere. And John is my mentor, probably one of the most important mentors in my early career. He's mentored a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
He came up behind me. I was walking to go do something and didn't even know he was behind me. And he yelled at me. And so I waited for him to catch up. And he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, what do you want to do with your life? What's your plan?" I said, "I don't know. You tell me." "Well, you're starting with us in 2 weeks." And so Facility Group had a pretty extensive construction management program at the time. I knew that was the day, right? That was the day I knew I was kind of in. I went to a job with one of the Navarro brothers down at Ador Farms Dairy. So that was the first facility group job I did, technically, on facility group payroll, and then went back up to American Stores in San Leandro, and we finished that one up. And then we went and built the Waremart distribution center up in Winco with Daniel Navarro, who, while John was the mentor on the business side and the leadership side, Daniel was the one that kind of taught me the ropes in the field, from a superintendent and a management standpoint. But I worked closely with Daniel and our architect, Tim Dwyer, and all the other people at Facility Group in the engineering departments, and kind of was a hybrid role between a assistant PM, a project engineer, a field engineer, superintendent. It kind of wore all those hats. And then from there, went into the office. So we moved back to Atlanta, I think, in 99, Lake Park Drive. So anyone that knows Facility Group knows that office. And so...
I do,
and so was there for a couple of years, and then we went back to California and opened up a West Coast office, myself and two other gentlemen, and then there started to be some changes at Facility Group. So so I left Facility Group in 2001, I think.
Okay.
And then went to a company with an earned equity position and was an officer, so sat on their board and was basically an operations manager for that company. And they focused on some mixed use stuff, some commercial stuff, but also wineries. They did a lot of work in
I don't hate that.
Sonoma and Napa.
Right.
So we kept my finger on that, but also did a lot of commercial stuff.
Yeah.
And then I started a company in 2004, and that went through 08, 09 up to about 2013. And I had to shut the doors for various reasons. A lot of lessons learned. I was probably too young to do it at that point, not well enough supported. The partners I had at the time didn't bring to the table what was supposed to be brought. And so I was kind of left on my own. And then obviously 08, 09 was challenging.
Yes.
So, and then from there, I went back to Primus because John was at Primus.
That's right.
Yep. And then from Primus to Fisher, Fisher to New Cold, and here we are.
And here you are.
Here we are.
Yeah.
On your own.
Circling back to the time John stopped you and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" What made you want to work with John and Facility Group? What made you make that decision?
I was in awe of John as a young adult, right? The way he commanded the room, the way the people around him respected him, the way he engaged with the customer, his depth of knowledge. They're from Boston, so I'm pretty straightforward. That's kind of where I got it from.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was, I looked up to him.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do what he was doing. And so that's what drove me. And so being back in the office with him when I was in Atlanta, the first stint was good. At Primus, he was only there for a bit, but we started the Kroger project in Forest Park together. It was good working with him, and Daniel had left to another company previously. So, but I still keep in touch with Daniel as well. But John, if I owe anyone thanks, it's John, and then Daniel second to that. So, yeah.
It's funny how everyone we talk in our podcast about this and how they got into it, everyone has a mentor, right? Mentorship's huge in our industry, and I think that speaks volumes to how close we all are.
Yeah.
I mean, competition or not, I mean, we're all family in a really messed up way. Like all these conferences are awkward Thanksgiving sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's a big industry, but it feels small at times.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
When you go to a show and you know everybody, it was funny. I was at Scottsdale a few months ago, and Scott Gamone and I were talking, and Matt Hirsch walks up, and Matt Hirsch and I were talking, and then Mike Lynch of US Cold walks up.
Yeah.
And look at this gang of characters. And so, I mean, we've all worked for Lynch and US Cold, and we all have our different relationships, but that was a cool moment because I worked closly with Matt, and I know,
so did I.
So did you, yeah.
So did I.
Some would say maybe even a little too closely. Dorm mates and such.
That's right.
But it was cool for the three of us to be able to stand there, all different companies, at times mostly competing against one another. Not so much me, but Scott and Matt definitely competing against each other.
Yeah.
And then for Mike to come up and us to have a casual conversation that was cordial and fun. And I mean, that's the industry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love it too. Just to kind of add to that, everyone cares about moving the industry forward. I really do feel that. And so the collaboration that, someone like Scott Guimond brings to the ideas, all the breakouts now that, they're having at SEBA, things like that.
Great.
It's just everyone cares so much about moving the industry forward. And I haven't experienced that in another industry.
And remember that everyone that's done that, whether it was you at AASIC or Tim when he took your spot or Scott now,
Yeah.
or anybody and everybody that's on a committee that's ever served.
Yes.
I mean, we're all doing this in our spare time.
Exactly.
And it's not because we don't like the industry. It's because we're passionate about it. And
Absolutely.
so it's good to see. And it's fun to be in the room with those people. And even though there may be different interests, at play, but I mean, I sat next to Lynch at the last GCCA committee meeting that we did for the codes or construction, and I think it's now facility systems committee, to be in the room with those guys and to push agenda items forward that better the membership and the broader industry. It's great.
Yeah,
it is great.
Don't always have enough time to do it, but
that's the hard part.
Yeah,
that's the hard part.
That is the hard part. And there's so many conferences now to attend in our industry. Yeah. I mean, between the new CRETA, NIAP changed their name to CRETA.
Yeah.
That and GCCA and SEBA, and then all your spin-off shows that are all very important shows, like the meat processing show,
well, so
seafood show,
the SEBA
Pack
GCCA.
Expo.
I didn't even realize until like a month after it happened that was going on. Right, I had just renewed my membership through Holly at GCCA, and then I'm told I need to join GCCA now, and I thought I paid a joint membership fee for that.
Yeah, it's it was time for that. Two completely different associations, right? Sharing the same staff, it became difficult over time.
Yeah.
The Global Cold Chain Alliance is very warehouse focused on cold storage, and the SEBA is very focused on building controlled environment buildings.
Yeah.
All of them, right? I mean, you're talking data centers and food processing, pharma, food service,
expanding the
warehouse.
Controlled environment
everything.
Isn't just the cold storage chain, right? It's everything.
You're building controlled environment buildings, and GCCA was strictly, hey, this is a conference about enhancing warehousing and transportation and logistics, and they're just, I guess, two different mission statements, if you will, and it was becoming a lot on the staff of the GCCA that handled both associations, and I think combining the two was too difficult because the missions didn't really align.
Yeah.
I think everyone's better off. And I think, we all love each other. I think we're all in, we all still want to go to each conference. We're still going to go to both associations and be involved. And it's just, it was time. I think both associations will be stronger because of it. So they can hunt more with a rifle and not a shotgun.
I fully agree. And that's why I'm staying engaged with both for that reason alone. And the past will be slightly different, but there will be some synergies along the way, I think.
Totally. Absolutely. So you, way back in the day at Facility Group, you said you went to the West Coast to help start that office branch. Man, were you working with Chris Mann back then?
No, that was before Chris Mann.
That was before
Chris. It was Chuck Green, Mike Middleman. The three of us went.
Got it.
And we went back. I would have stayed in Atlanta. I would have preferred to stay in Atlanta, but we went back because my wife's dad was ill, so we wanted to be closer to home, and so that was the reason for the decision. But it was good. I mean, we did a couple Dannon projects, Sotodone. We did a nice one up in Mount Shasta, was right about 3,500 feet, so you could essentially go on your trek up the mountain from the site. A lot of interesting projects we did on that side, but to be honest, there was one person in that office doing a lot of work, and
that's right.
The other people were selling work or trying to sell work and make the office successful. So I had my hands full, and I was still, I think I had just been promoted to a senior PM, still pretty young, but it was a lot of work to do. But we delivered some good projects during that time.
Right.
So
Facility Group was a monstrous design build cold storage construction company. I mean, it's, you can go way back with those folks, but that's interesting. I didn't know if you had worked with Chris back then, or if it was more when, Primus days.
You were still, I worked with Chris right after you left Primus.
Gotcha.
So we were doing Kroger Forest Park. We had another Kroger up in Blue Ash, but I was bouncing back and forth from projects on the East Coast and the Northeast. In Dallas, still we had some work going. So I was all over the place. And so it was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, and then you make a move and let's just skip right to New Cold. I mean, New Cold's a ginormous cold storage.
Yeah. Well, Fisher led to New Cold. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Fisher was great. The only reason I left Fisher is because New Cold made an offer that I mean, it was like Don Corleone, and I couldn't turn it down. And so we're not going to dig into that too much, but it was a great experience. It was an opposite side. The Fisher experience was good. The New Cold experience was good as well. So the first 6 years I was at Fisher, it was managing New Cold and Amazon.
Mm.
And so I was already very familiar with the New Cold brand, and it wasn't that hard of a jump other than leaving. I really enjoyed working with Scott and kind of side by side with him and some of the other people at Fisher and our contracts manager and some other people there. And so it was a hard decision, but I couldn't pass that experience up. And to go work for a global 3PL that was, there was a lot of opportunity there. So I guess it wasn't meant to be a long-term thing.
Well, listen, everything happens for a reason. I think we can attest to that. But at the end of the day, we couldn't be more proud that you are where you are now with ThermCon, because I know you've always wanted to do this, in my opinion. And I think the timing was right. And now you get to do it your way.
Well, so I did it once before.
Yeah, but I'm
and
saying now with more experience and
learning about the big corporate structure. It's interesting. It's a good experience. It's a different experience. At Fisher, I ran the teams that did the projects or the accounts that I was driving. And so there was a lot of autonomy there. At ThermCon, it's kind of growing that from scratch. And so a little bit different than taking over a company or building an existing company up. Building from scratch, as you know, it's a process, and it's a nerve-wracking process. I had drawn out a pretty detailed business plan, primarily to convince Shannon that it was okay, because she was the one that stood and watched the damage that the first time caused, right? And that was something that we'll never forget.
Of course not.
And it took a little bit to recover from it.
It does.
But the lessons that I'm applying to what we're doing now, that I learned during that time and that I learned at Fisher and learned at New Cold, invaluable. And I couldn't be happier. The business plan that we had drawn up had some pretty aggressive targets, and we've beat all of them. And so that's
awesome.
We're starting up the design group and a couple other things that are happening that we're not ready to announce, but it's exciting. It's a different kind of stress, but you control it. And if you can manage that and manage the growth, and most importantly, manage the customers, that's what we're trying to do. So at Facility Group, there was a mission statement, and it was exceeding client expectations. It was posted everywhere, but I still live by that, right? Everything we try to do is based on exceeding expectations, being accessible all the time, responding to emails or questions, in real time. And that is what I have found sets how we operate and how I operate apart from some others. As a leader of the company, I keep my fingerprints on everything, not from a micromanagement standpoint, but really from a being aware and figuring out how I can support the team best, making sure everybody's growing and learning on the path that I want for them and they want for themselves. And so it's good. I would have told you 4 years ago I wasn't interested in doing this, that I had a retirement plan set and mapped out. You know the drill, but it happened, and I agree. So every kind of a Zen philosophy in every step, whether it feels like it's backwards or it feels like it's a fall or it feels like it's a stumble or it's a step forward or sideways, it's all part of your path. It's part of the journey. And so, I'm where I'm supposed to be.
That's right.
Where we're supposed to be. I mean, I took after you guys, so Shannon's working for me in the office, and that's going well.
Good.
And
you might want to change the way you say that. You don't want to say Shannon's working for you.
Well, I'm working for her. Well,
me.
No,
or for her.
I report to her. We found out that she's the HR director. She's the office manager.
She wears a lot of hats.
She wears a lot of hats. So. It's exciting. It's a different kind of, when I did it the first time, I kind of did it a little bit in a vacuum off by myself. We had good success. And then we had, I think the biggest learning was to diversify. I had too many eggs in a basket. And when that basket, gets too small, then you have some challenges. And so, but it's good. I couldn't be more pleased with where we are. I've got Ian, my son, who's third year at UNLV in construction management, and he's interning. we've brought him to a site here in Dallas, and he worked on the site for a few weeks, and so that's fun to see. So what we're creating now, hopefully it's legacy for
legacy,
yeah.
Yep. Legacy. Now, where are you exactly? Where are you from?
So I was born in Seattle, and so grew up between Seattle and the Bay Area. And my wife is born and raised in San Francisco.
Okay.
I actually met my wife. Guess where she was at work, but guess where she was working. And she was young. So I met her when she was 17 still. So
MySpace.
No. She worked at Lucky's as well.
I was going to say the grocery store.
The grocery store. So
why did I think like it wasn't Facebook? So
yeah.
I'll go back to MySpace.
Nope. She was going to school and working, and she happened to work at the store that I would. So I was at the time I was young, so I was living at home still. And then I would go in, and I think I was 20 when I met her, and she was 18, or just, we'll say she was 18.
Okay, sounds good.
She was about a week away from it. Our first date was Pulp Fiction, so that was fun.
Yes.
And then the next trip I went back in, it's a cheesy story, but I bought her, I saw her, she was in the checkout line. I went back to the flower, cabinet and got a rose and gave it to her. And I said something cheesy, like, you should smile more or whatever. And that was it. That was 32 years later.
Wow.
Love it.
3 kids.
I love that.
Yeah. It's
that's very cool.
It's a good success story.
I love that.
What's your favorite part about working together?
I hope that we haven't hit it yet.
I love that.
It's figuring out how to navigate. I'm sensitive. And so if I'm on a conference call, I may not be thinking about the conference call. I'm thinking about her judging me and how I performed during the conference call.
Sure.
I'll get a debrief at the end of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And so, but
You
no,
should have
it's
said that.
yeah. But
say it like this next time.
But no, it's good. It's there was some trepidation, and I remember asking you about how
I
it
remember
was going,
our conversation.
But it's good. I wouldn't trade it. She's this is new to her. She's been a mom for 30 years and a wife, and managed the house, which is a way more difficult job than I could have done.
That's a special set of skills.
So it's I think it's hopefully fun for her too, and engaging in the different facets of the business, and so, like we were talking earlier, I may have her go take NASCLA, so I don't have to. So
it's fun to be working in a partnership towards a mutually defined goal together.
Yeah.
To be able to see the bricks that you're stacking each day together become something like that. There's no feeling like it.
And I wouldn't be where I am today without her, right? And so everything that I've done is started the day I met her, and so she gets all the credit.
I love it.
Our kids are fantastic. Yeah, I wouldn't trade it, and I'm glad that we get to spend more time. So
yeah.
What did you learn? What was like your biggest lesson learned working for a big company?
Oh yeah.
That's a tough one,
because I'm sure there were a lot.
There's a level of politics that that I hadn't experienced before.
Sure.
And navigating that. And it was even compounded because it was a European company. So there were cultural nuances as well.
Sure.
But I don't look back on that as a negative time. It was a good experience, and again, a step forward to where we are.
Facility Group's a ginormous company too back in the day. So you could even
go
to that and say, what do you learn from a company like that, right?
So that was we had layers, and I think the good thing about that is there was a lot of crossover experience. Our engineering department was downstairs. We had and then our architecture department, I think, was on the 3rd floor. We were up on the 5th floor, but there was a lot of up and down the elevator in between departments. Springthorpe was there still, so we worked with Paul quite a bit. My drive at that moment was, I wanted to go work for Paul in the distribution group, because he ran the distribution group. And so I would keep hitting him up, on a weekly basis. Hey, are you ready to bring me over? Wink, wink. And then I actually, when we went to California, I did a program management assignment for it was a home grocer, it wasn't WebVet, it was home grocer. And we went and did a site evaluation and started the program process on it. So I got a little taste of it under the group, but then kind of things changed. So, but yeah, Facility Group gave you part of the construction management program, which it was set up to be a 6-month increment. So you would do 6 months in estimating, you would do 6 months in the field, you would do 6 months in scheduling, you do 6 months in legal. It kind of stuck to that, but didn't. I think A funny story is O'Connell and I, Rich, and I was in the estimating department working with Ted Contos, who's no longer with us, but great guy, great teacher. We bought out a Kmart Ocala site, 500,000 square foot. At the time, it was 25 million, so it's probably 100 million today, right? We bought it out in 5 weeks. Now, Rich would tell you he did all the heavy lifting, but that's that. So that was my kind
You're
of
kidding.
my toss into the project management, and then from there it was the deep end of the pool, and you know it went up pretty quick from there. So. Yeah, it's just being exposed to all the different facets of the business. We had legal exposure. CK was running, you know, the legal group and purchasing. We had, I think, Bill Templeman, who was doing scheduling. We had Teddy Contos and a bunch of others there. I mean, it was just a great group of people. Scott Griffin was still there. You know, all these people that are out doing different things, right? Mike Jones.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it was, and you know, we're still friendly with most of those people today.
Yeah, of course.
So, yeah, it was good.
I love that. Well, tell us a little bit more about ThermCon. I know we're kind of bringing, I heard you say like that idea of like exceeding expectations for your customers, like that stays with you. But talk a little bit about ThermCon. Tell us what you're doing. Like, let's dive in.
So right now, we're kind of focused on special projects.
Okay.
And special projects. So we're a design build firm. We're building up the design end of that right now.
Okay.
But right now it's mostly special projects, and we haven't been out selling a ton. We've reestablished a relationship that I had with probably the #1 e-commerce company in the world.
Okay.
So doing quite a bit of work with them again.
Yeah.
But we're doing also a lot of smaller company that, you know, they've got a small network, good customers, good people. But their projects, you know, we had a site that a demising wall was removed between two freezers, right? And the slab heaved up 3 inches because it wasn't repaired correctly. So we had to compartmentalize that, replace 5,000 square foot of slab. We brought, you know, you guys assisted, I think, with that one, and Fricks we brought in to do the concrete work.
Sure.
And so all of the network that we work with normally,
of course.
but a special project sometimes people think are small jobs that are easy. But
Not necessarily that I find them the most challenging.
They're hard.
They are, and it takes you need to understand the customer's operation and what their needs are, and then figure out after extensive planning, okay, how are we going to approach this in a manner that doesn't impact the customer or minimizes that impact.
Yes.
And
you
so
don't want to disrupt their flow.
You don't want to disrupt the flow. And we're going to be a nuisance no matter what we do.
Exactly.
Let's try to soften it as much as we can. So we're doing quite a bit of that work right now. And we're not out hard selling anything. And so it's network. It's people, here that I started this company, and whether it's a past client or a client of a client or a broader network, all of the relationships have come that way. I mean, we just started a relationship with a seafood processor, and that's going to be a national, it looks like it's going to be a national opportunity. And so we're dealing with some modernization projects with them, but it's all in operational facilities. So trying to figure out how to address their challenges and needs without impacting their productivity. And so, if you look up the definition of special project, it's actually different than I would have thought. But there are smaller jobs. They're not glamorous most times, right? But I tell you what is glamorous is to get through the project, turn over the area back to the customer with minimal impact, and have everybody pleased with how it went. I mean, that's the satisfaction.
Yes, and I imagine even if like any kind of special project, something is in the way for what the customer needs, right? So you're coming in there, you're solving a problem for them. That builds a ton of trust.
Yeah.
Because if you can do it successfully and, like you said, minimally invasive, they can still operate. That's amazing. Yeah. They're going to think about you if they're going to build, a ground up facility one day or something
Especially
like that.
if you were successful. So there's a couple of clients out there we're on our 5th and 6th project for.
That's
right?
amazing.
The e-commerce company I mentioned, I'm not going to name, but we're on our 4th project with them after just a reintroduction.
That's great.
So it's a good spot to be in. It's nice not to have to wear the sales hat all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not very good at it. But yeah, reputation, performance, exceeding expectations. Yeah. And so special projects, box projects. I'm not all that interested in going out and building a $300 million high-rise automated facility. At least today I'm not, right?
You've done enough of those.
Talk to me in a couple of years,
we'll
and then maybe. But
you've done enough of those right now.
But it's expansion, box and box type projects within new spec buildings.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're best suited at the moment. But you know, out of all this special project experience, we're creating a group that manages just that. And then we'll have a group that kind of focuses more on the BIB projects and expansion projects. And yeah, so it's managing, as you guys know, it's scaling with the pipeline and being smart about it, but also making sure that you can deliver to the customer.
This episode is brought to you by Iceberg Mechanical, a nationwide leader in commercial and industrial refrigeration solutions.
From design and installation to service and maintenance, Iceberg Mechanical delivers reliable, energy-efficient systems for cold storage facilities coast to coast.
Iceberg Mechanical, keeping it cool every step of the way. This episode is brought to you by Applied Fabricators, or AFAB as we like to call them.
Need a partner that's rapid, responsive, and reliable? Applied Fabricators delivers top-tier metal solutions with speed and precision, so you can stay on schedule without the stress.
Their expert team tackles the toughest projects, ensuring quality and efficiency every step of the way. So go grab a beer. AFAB has it from here. Josh, where are we going, man? Where are we going in this industry? Where is cold storage going?
So the stint that I took outside of cold storage, where we're still doing wine work, but we did a lot of self-storage stuff, right? And that was an industry that you would say felt saturated, but it was always resilient to economic adjustment. To, you know, during 09 and 010, there were no issues that we kept building. And, you know, a lot of people wanted to be investors in self-storage because it's a good investment. And it seems that will always be necessary. Cold storage is the same, right? During COVID, the amount of last mile food delivery centers we built in that period of time was insane. I mean, it was not, I thought, oh, we're going to get a breather, but it was constant. I pulled the Airstream into the driveway of the house, and that was my office, right? And so, it was conference calls constantly. It was new site visits, but 6-foot distancing. It was masks. It was empty planes, which I missed that. Right?
That part.
Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, it's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to evolve. And I don't think it gets affected much by what's happening, other than there will be trickle-down influences when fuel goes up. There'll be trickle-down influences when materials go up. But people need to eat, right?
They do.
And so the processing and the warehousing and the packaging, that's always going to be there. And we're going to find new ways to do it. You know, automation is big.
Yes.
But there are still a lot of traditional warehousing. Though what I am seeing is in those traditional warehousing scenarios, even those operators are introducing some automation to some extent, whether it's the autonomous scrubber or autonomous forklifts in V&A aisles that they're testing out, right? It's not all stacker cranes and conveyors, but we are seeing a slow interest and introduction of automation into even the standard facilities.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just thinking about what you were saying, and it kind of like clicked, because I'm starting to like draw a map on this back of the paper, because it's crazy. Because 2019, 2020, right? Like it was, costs were kind of, pretty leveled out, if you will. And then after the pandemic, if you will, it just people got busy. And then all of a sudden, as people got busy,
people still built.
Oh yeah. Pricing started eventually, with 6 months to 12 months after that, had to go up. So pricing on materials and all this stuff went up, right? And then for whatever reason, it kept climbing as far as construction was concerned. Now we're entering a really weird spot, I feel, where business has slowed down, where it's not like it's okay. Business is as usual from the 2017 to 2019, right? Business is still really good. There's a lot going on, just not COVID lot going on with all the spec buildings and all this is chaos. But now we got to the spot where, okay, it's leveled off, but these costs are still high right now. We're getting price increases from all the panel suppliers. All the chemical guys are raising their price. Steel guys are raising their price. So all this price is going up. People aren't as busy as they used to be. They've loaded up on a bunch of workers. They've loaded up on a bunch of office staff to handle that kind of volume. And now we're in a really weird spot.
Well, but people are pivoting to the AI and data center
Mhm.
market, right?
That's right.
If you look
Yeah.
True.
on the drive to Scottsdale when we went for GCCA, we drove by the biggest data center
dude.
project that I've
Yeah.
ever seen,
Yeah.
right? And so those things are booming, and a lot of the big GCs certainly have gone that way. And I think there are a lot of other companies that are trying to dabble in that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's off. It's still creating a level of demand, right? So it's not that we have in our industry people out of work or people laying off. I'm not
Right.
seeing any of that yet.
No.
But the price thing is it's hard because we never really saw it come back down any, right? It leveled and stayed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We got used to it. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people will pay for it, right?
Mhm.
It just became the new norm.
Yeah.
There were tariffs that were introduced in, I think, 2017, and we saw steel go up, and we saw people kind of buy back, rebar from smaller companies and raw steel or coil from other companies, and that falsely drove the market. But then if you look at quarterly earnings of some people, it wasn't that the cost went up; it was that the
Mhm.
margins went up,
Mhm.
and that's part of business, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to watch, but I've not seen anything that's concerned me about a slowing in the market. And it seems that everybody, whether competitor or not, are busy,
Mhm.
right? I don't think we're in a spot of bother. I think it's, hopefully things with fuel come down and that starts to trigger a little bit of reduction in cost, just from a perception standpoint. I've got a couple clients that are pausing because of fuel costs, because part of their business is on the transport side.
Yeah.
And
It's
so,
insane right now.
yeah, they're reluctant to do anything new of substance
Mhm.
until that shows signs of coming back.
Yeah.
So
What's these fuel surcharges? They just slap on an invoice now, and it's something you never had originally priced
yeah,
in your bid.
I think the biggest escalation we saw was post-COVID, and it was probably a year outside of the peak of COVID, right?
Yeah.
Where everybody, gear, you couldn't get electrical gear, you couldn't get PLCs, you couldn't
Yes.
get this, that, and the other. But then, things started following suit that may not have been directly impacted, right? But when one starts to go, I think
Yeah.
it's an indicator that others are going to go behind it. But
Mhm.
Switchgear is still 12 months out.
No. No, but I
Yeah.
tell you what, the custom switchgear companies did well during that time because everybody pivoted to the
Yeah.
custom manufacturers.
Yeah.
We did on a couple projects, and it
Mhm.
saved us a bunch of time. Not a lot of money, but we were able to manage the process, right? The
Mhm.
building doesn't work unless you have power. So
That is very true.
yeah,
Yeah, very
Yeah.
true.
so
Yeah, absolutely. So you are home office. ThermCon is in Nevada.
yeah. So based in Las Vegas, we've got a satellite office in Flower Mound. I spend quite a bit of time out here. So, but it's not fully staffed. But we're looking at that for growth and whether or not we want to do that. We've got some remote people that are not working in an office at the moment, but are on sites or,
That's right.
hybrid scenario.
Sure.
And then we've got another office up in the Bay Area, for the financial side. So, but yeah, it's exciting.
Very exciting.
It is.
Yeah, it's a little bit daunting sometimes to look at, okay, when do I want to make this move? When do I want to make that move? And how am I going to support this? And by the way, is that going to be there in 18 months?
Yeah.
And so I
Yes.
don't
yeah.
ever want to hire somebody that I can't keep. And so it just means that we wear a lot of hats. at
You are
times.
wearing
It
a lot of
does.
hats. You have to do the marketing guy. You gotta.
Yeah. Yeah, Shannon's wearing a couple hats now too. So, and if I can get Ian out of school and he can wear a couple hats, but we've got some good people. My director of design and engineering is an ace. And so we're building up that group. I'm excited about that. We're not technically announcing it yet, but, but yeah, it's a good feeling to start that growth and feel confident that it's going to sustain itself. But you never know, right? So you've got to be a little bit cautiously optimistic.
Where do you see ThermCon in 5 years?
It's hard to say. I'm not retiring in 5 years, so it'll still exist. I'm knocking on wood. My objective with ThermCon was to target those mid-level projects that may not get the attention or entice the bigger GCs and kind of fill not a void, but step into a category that might be a little bit underserved. And then if you can up the customer service and you can perform and you can exceed expectations, that's the objective. Now, putting an annual revenue on it,
You don't need to do that.
but I don't want to be big, right? I'm not trying to be a Primus or a Fisher or it's because I want to have my fingerprints on everything.
Yeah.
Because that's how we deliver the high level of customer service, regardless of the team. It's being able to be there when they need it. Right.
Very cool.
That's the goal. And having a couple different groups. So a group working on BIB projects, so a group working on special projects, a group working on, other outside industry stuff. I mean, it's fun that we're doing process work now. So that's, bringing that back into the fold. That will probably yield some other opportunities as well. So it's to diversify. Beyond cold is kind of a catchphrase that I try to use, because we're not just doing cold. I mean, that's where the bulk of the experience and expertise is, but there's a ton of stuff that we're doing that is outside. It's related, but outside of that realm, right? So we'll keep our ties to it, because that's kind of the epicenter, but we'll do a little bit of everything.
What a political answer.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Well, tell our listeners, I'm going to ask you more like a business question, but tell our listeners, I want people to be able to follow along with the ThermCon journey. Where can they find you, or what the company is doing?
So LinkedIn.
Okay.
You can either get there via me, or via anyone that's following the company. We're not posting a ton at the moment, but that'll ramp up a little bit. I'm not a social media guy.
That's okay. Doesn't have to be your hat.
I always second and triple guess, anything that we're working on. So I really need somebody that's going to drive that. And we've got somebody that's coming on board here in a bit that has a little more.
So stay tuned.
It's a little more age appropriate to social media. So, but yeah, I mean, we participate in the shows. We're not going to be showing, or we're not going to have a booth, but we will be at the GCCA shows every year, the SEBA shows every year. Try to hit Icon in September.
You'll be participating in present.
That's right. Yeah. So, and network. I will tell you that I try not to burn bridges. In my whole career, I've tried not to burn bridges. A good example is while I was at Primus, it was good, but it wasn't long term. But at New Cold, I gave Primus an opportunity, and I think they're leveraging that now. Same with Fisher. When I left Fisher, they were still a go-to resource, and a good one, for some of the projects we were doing at New Cold. And so I try to maintain those relationships, because the network is valuable. We're all doing these things, external volunteer type things, so we see them anyway, and so there's no reason for animosity or what have you. So it's keep the bridges intact, and you never know when you need to cross it again. Right?
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you, what do you have a piece of advice for someone who, maybe wants to start their own company, take that venture, take that leap? But that's pretty just general good advice that you just gave.
Well, and so to add to that, people coming into the industry that might be interested out of school or what have you. And I will tell you that the experience I went through with the 3 companies before I went to Facility Group, and then the experience with Facility Group where you had exposure to all the different business units, that's invaluable. That changes the perspective. Another thing that company did is their architects and engineers spent time in the field, right? It's one thing to look at things 2-dimensionally. Well, now with Revit and BIM, you can look at it 3-dimensionally. But at that time, everything was 2D until you see it out in the field, and you don't really see how a detail works, or until you've seen it in practice, or how not to do it. Right. So that experience, I mean, that would be my advice for young people coming into the industry, and for new companies, look at a training program that gets exposure to all facets of the industry. If you're doing wall panels, okay, you should be familiar with roofing. You should know a little bit about foundations, have that exposure. Because that lets you think holistically to your approach and your planning, and you
got to know what follows the next, right? And how it works. And
so that exposure is great. And from a marketing standpoint, you befriend people like Vince, right? So, the Vinces and
Jesus.
others that are well networked, but it's relationships.
It is.
So you build those relationships. You invest in those relationships.
Absolutely.
Whether it's in your network, outside of your network, your employees, your suppliers, right? One of the things, exceeding customer expectations is high, but we want to exceed our partner expectations as well. We want a Freeze or a Sub-Zero or a Ricker or whoever to want to come back, a Fricks to want to come back and work on a ThermCon job. And so creating, whether it's a small project, big project, creating an environment that is friendly to that, and that encourages that collaboration and makes everybody feel satisfied at the end of the day. That's what we're trying to do. And I think we're doing. I mean, I've got Fricks doing projects I never knew Fricks would do. I think that's a testament to building that type of relationship. Sure. And Brett's been right there on that side. So I want people to want to work with us, and I want customers to want to work with us. And I think one lends itself to the other, and they're both reciprocal, right? So that's an important part of our business model. Whether we're doing 50 million, 100 million, or 500 million, I don't think we'll do 5, but I don't want to be that.
You never
big.
know.
Not yet.
Yeah. No.
Not yet.
I don't want that much stress. So.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
It is.
A lot.
Yeah.
It is. Well, I was. I mean, you answered the question I was going to ask you. I was going to have you be basically John Navarro. You know, your version of yourself, and seeing that kid on a dock in a construction job site and saying, "Hey, you kid, you know, come here." You know,
I've done it.
Yeah.
Right. And that brings joy and reward and satisfaction, right? If I could be half the mentor that he was to me,
that's right,
then I've succeeded on the business side, right? That is important. And whether it's a seasoned, you know, my safety director is a seasoned pro at safety and food quality, but she's learning as we go as well. And I love to be able to, I don't want to say be a mentor, but to help teach. And,
I can tell you love to teach, because the last project we did with you, you know, you got into the field with our thermal carpenters and started talking details and, you know, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? Or like, you get your hands on it and you want to learn and teach and talk. And like, that speaks volumes of your passion for what you do. Yeah.
And there's a reward to that.
Sure.
That's not tangible, right? You can't buy it.
No.
It's something that you experience when you go through it. And you put that in the bank, and that's why you wake up every day.
Right? That's right. It's very cool. Well, this has been a lot of fun, but now I get to harass you. All right.
Oh, harass away.
I'm ready for it. Such a harsh word. Are we allowed to say that?
We are. Every episode I harass our guests. It's fun because this is good. This is a really good opportunity to get to know you even better.
All right.
What makes you tick? What you're into, right?
Yeah.
You ready for that?
I'm ready.
I know.
This is a speed round.
This is a speed round.
Got it.
I love it. This is a speed round. So, in essence, you know, just
the rapid round.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to know you, Josh. You ready for this? All right.
I'm ready.
Pre-construction meeting at 7 a.m. or a client dinner at 7 p.m.?
Pre-con at 7 a.m.
Are you a morning or night guy?
I'm a morning guy.
You are.
Yeah.
All right. Are you a call, text, or email guy?
I'm a pick up the phone guy.
Okay.
And that's a hard lesson. I'm trying to teach that lesson right now because the younger generation.
Yes.
And I just went through this yesterday, actually. So the younger generation is reliant on text or email.
Yes.
Yep.
But things can get so easily confused.
Yes.
And unintended, right?
Tone. Yeah.
Tone. Well, so I'm a quick, short emailer. Yeah. And so if you are sensitive to tone, you'll think I'm mad at you all the time. And so my preface to everyone, employees, partners is now customers, I reframe my text a little bit. But but if I'm, you know, walking through the airport or getting on a plane, it's going to be a quick response, right? But I tell everybody, don't ever read tone into my emails.
You should put that at the very bottom of your
instead of that, instead of sent from a mobile device or the legal disclaimer, it's there is no tone intended, right?
I'm in a hurry.
Yep. Moving fast.
Moving fast. I like
so
that.
I like email, I like text. I think if it's general communication, it's a quick text. It's like when I was running late today. It's hey, I'm going to be a little bit late. So text is fine for that.
You know, I thought you were such a dick when I read that text.
I don't blame you. I'll reread it and see if I was a little too harsh.
You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Would you teach a construction class of people or mentor someone one-on-one?
I have a touch of social anxiety. If that didn't exist, a class would be great.
That's right.
If it were a 7 p.m. class and I had a cocktail before, it would probably be okay.
I like it.
I mean, I can do it. I've done it many times. You know, broad groups, whether it's in an annual meeting or it's, you know, the AASIC, we did a bunch of presentations in the early AASIC stuff. So I can do it, but the nerves kind of jump up.
You're a mentor of someone one-on-one.
Yeah, I had one-on-one mentorship, but it can be many one-on-ones at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if you put them all in a room, it would be a class.
That's what it is, yeah.
I think
by definition.
Thanks. You're right. I mean, I'll have to look it up to validate that.
Yes, of course.
But
just text me.
Yeah, I'll text you. I'll email it.
Yeah. Do that. All right. Beach vacation or mountain getaway?
Oceanside. Well, I love the ocean, but I like a mountain. So here's what people don't know about Las Vegas. I'm 30 minutes from a ski resort that is mountain biking in the summer and skiing in the winter. And it's the closest I've ever been to a mountain. It's not a massive, I mean, it's not Whistler, but if you want to go in and ski for a couple hours and not waste a day getting there, it's great. But the ocean, and let me clarify, the West Coast ocean brings a certain relaxation and calm. And I mean, it's like meditation for me. So I can go sit on the beach for 30 minutes and be completely refreshed, recharged. Something about the East Coast oceans with the sun going the wrong way and the wind blowing the wrong direction, not quite the same. But yeah, a nice San Diego or Carlsbad beach trip, I'm there.
You're in.
All
Okay.
right. Like that. You team call, camera on or off?
When we're doing introductions, camera on. When we're not, unless I'm speaking, and then maybe camera on, but normally camera off.
Okay. All right. Blueprints on paper or everything digital?
Oh, I'm a paper guy, but I can do digital. I mean, I think everybody uses Bluebeam, right? And Bluebeam is like a lifeline for us now.
It is.
And so not to promote Bluebeam, but I'm happy to do it for $1.
Sponsored by Bluebeam.
Yes, exactly.
I'm tagging you, Bluebeam. I expect something, man.
So we use Procore for our project management. We use HammerTech for our safety. Plug. And so I should get a discount on the next annual renewal.
That's right. We'll take them too.
But I like a physical sketch. I like a physical drawing. My plotter would tell you the same. But it can be a little wasteful, so I try to be cognizant of that. And so we'll do it digital when we can. If we're traveling, obviously digital is the way you have to do it.
Yes.
So, but I like paper.
I like it.
Yeah.
This is not a this or that question. You answer this any way you want.
Okay.
If you could give a TED Talk on anything, any topic, what would it be?
Industry related?
Doesn't have to be
anything
at all.
Anything you want.
This is a tough question.
It
could
is.
be a TED Talk on red wine.
No.
Or working with your spouse. Or
I'm not quite there, but in a year it could be spouse. I mean, it's
anything you want. What TED Talk would you give?
Raising kids.
I love it.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love it.
Yeah, and the whole process of it, and Shannon has sacrificed a ton for my entire career for me to do what I do, and then had probably the more difficult job on top of it, and so I can't give enough credit to the wives and the moms out there that put up with us, but yeah, I think raising kids. I mean, that's I would say that's our proudest accomplishment. And so if it all ended tomorrow, I could feel satisfied that we did that successfully.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's very cool.
And so, yeah, that's the big one.
Love
That's
it.
awesome. And then Yellowstone or Landman, which one's better?
Oh, so I'm a Landman guy right now. And so I think the last season of Yellowstone,
we
kind of lost it a bit.
Yeah.
But we are hooked in Landman.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've bought a couple new cowboy hats. I certainly have some more boots.
Smoking cigarettes every 2 seconds.
We
drink a lot of Michelob Ultra.
Billy Bob Thornton, John Hamm, even though he's not been in the last couple, but that's a good one.
It's a great
So
cast.
good.
Yeah,
Really
we're looking
is.
forward. I think season 3 is out pretty soon.
Yeah.
So
I know. Excited
I'm
about
excited
that.
this
Yeah,
fall.
it should be good, man.
that Landman promo.
Boom.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
There
I
we go.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Are we keeping a chart of all these so that I can follow up
Yes,
on
we're
I got
keeping notes.
Bluebeam.
royalties, Bluebeam, Procore, HammerTech, John Navarro.
That's right.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in
Yeah,
studio
this
and
was fun.
sharing about ThermCon, what you guys have going on there, what you're doing. We're so happy for you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Hell yeah. That's
Well,
awesome.
likewise.
It's really exciting.
A few years behind you guys, but it's kind of the same trajectory. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it and looking forward to the next project. And
Yeah. This is awesome.
it's exciting.
Good stuff.
Congrats.
Good
Thanks for
stuff.
having me.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you for being on the show. And until next time, all of you listeners, thank you so much. As always, subscribe to our podcast
Yes, please
on
do.
all the socials. Hit that red subscribe button.
Mhm.
You can listen to this on your iPhone,
Mhm.
Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.
Yes.
So
Well, watch us on YouTube.
and watch. Unfortunately, you can watch this on YouTube.
If you want to watch
too,
us, you can watch us on YouTube.
at Cool Times Podcast. Until next
And-
time, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.